they were doing was thinning that sugar beet plant so they can come back through. They haven't found an effective way to do that by machine at this point. This near ridge is where the Indian encampment was down on the side. Idea was to come in and capture the women and children and just defeat the Indians. The Indians were sleeping in that morning because of the celebration of Maple Fool. Cemetery where they were initially buried, where they escaped the battle.
This is not real comfortable. On the day of the battle here in 1876, up the hill here where General Custer fell, the temperature was over 100 degrees. Soldiers would be wearing a wool shirt, usually this dark gray kind. You see the peculiar kind of iron button on here. They'd wear this over a set of, this is Civil War surplus. These are blue wool trousers. Sky blue it's called. You got the suspenders here. Pockets are placed kind of up top here. You got a kind of a watch pocket or something. There aren't any pockets on the side
Or the back.
or the back. Right. There's a reason for that. As an enlisted man, you didn't really have any need for pockets. See the yellow trim? The yellow trim around here, and this varies a lot from regiment to regiment. I mean, some had the piping and some didn't. There's a little trim down here on the sleeve. And yellow indicates that you're a cavalryman. You're a horse soldier. On cover. Yeah. There we go. This is called a kepi, which is a French word. And that's appropriate that it's a French word because this is a French design of a hat. In the 19th century, at least up till the Franco-Prussian War, I think in 1871, military styles in the United States tended to be copied from the French. Remember, one of the most impractical campaign hats ever designed. These varied in color, incidentally. I think the color was supposed to be black. This type of hat could be just a campaign hat or slouch hat. And it could be worn like this. And they usually didn't wear the... if you go to movies and watch TV like I do, you're going to notice something missing here. You know, where are the little gold beads and the little hat cords around here? They usually didn't wear them. They usually just wore a plain hat like this. Soldiers didn't like it. They'd probably get something a little more practical like this. Or maybe a hat of a different color. We've got a gray hat back there. Gray, white, brown, about anything you can get. It would vary. If you're going to campaign in the summer, this is a pretty good choice. This is just a basic straw hat. It's called a skimmer. A lot of troopers wore these. Some of the officers did too. Major Reno had a hat like standard procedure, because none of them fit when they're new, was to go out and get them waded around in a creek or something and get them good and wet and then wear them until they dry. Then they kind of take the form of your feet. And the problem is when you do that, these things are constructed with brass nails all the way through here. And the brass nails will start working through the soles right into your feet. And this became a serious enough problem that the Army complained about it. They complained to Congress, and Congress did what Congress usually does. They appointed a committee, studied the matter, see soldiers wandering around out there with nails in their feet. And after sufficient deliberation of I don't know how long, they came up with a solution. They allotted a little bit of extra money so that these troopers could have little files, I imagine one per squad or something like that, got little files so they could go in there and file those nails off. They knew how uncomfortable they were. And they would normally cut the bottoms off, just throw them away, and then they'd sew these things together, and they made pretty good pouches. We had we got the book in the bookstore by Dr. Thomas Marcus. He was an Indian Health Service physician who was at Crow and at Reindeer in the early 1920s. And even in Marcus's time, there were Cheyenne warriors. You see that the movie involved cavalry. You're going to see guys charging around with sabers. And you're going to see all sorts of pictures of General Custer up there making his last stand, and he's got a saber and he's getting ready to fight it out. Well, they didn't have sabers out there. They didn't use them. There's a real simple explanation of why. General Custer was going to sneak up on a group of Sioux and Cheyenne warriors camped right down there. And listen to this. See how noisy that is? And I'll tell you, if I was a sergeant and I had some recruit who let a scabbard get this dirty, he'd be shoveling stable for the rest of the shift. But normally these were kept pretty shiny. I don't know, we don't have very ironclad discipline around this outfit. I'm going to have to get these boys out and work them over. But normally these were kept pretty shiny. And that's another problem if you're trying to sneak up on somebody. A conscientious trooper would polish this brass hilt, and this would be a nice shiny silver color down here. And you'd be able to see the glint of that for miles. There's no way you're going to sneak up and you've got a bunch of guys riding around like this. Fair, pal, but we don't want to get too technical here. This is a breech-loading, single-shot 45 caliber weapon. 45 caliber weapon fires a bullet about as big as my thumb. Caliber is a reference to the diameter up here. This is fired manual arm. This incidentally is a sling. You guys who carry Garand M1s and Springfields and stuff like that, this fit over the trooper's shoulder. This fit over the trooper's shoulder. See if I can get my mouth working here. And he would ride along with this. The idea was that the trooper wouldn't lose his carbine this way, because enlisted men are not really very well trained. They'll ride along, they'll do things, you know. So he just kind of attached the carbine to the trooper. You can't lose it. Let's take this one out this sling here. This weighs a little less than 7 pounds. And this is a short version of the infantry rifle that was also adopted in 1873. This is called an Allen system, incidentally. This was designed right after the Civil War. And the original cowboy shows, this is a single-action 45 caliber Colt revolver. This was adopted in 1873 by the Army. It's a very rugged design. I'm going to make sure it's empty. Yep. It's a very rugged design. It has 7 moving parts, not counting your trigger finger. And it's easy to shoot. And that's fortunate because you're not going to get a chance to shoot it. You as recruits would probably steal it and go to the gold field. So a lot of company officers, and this appears in Richard's book, there's a temptation, a company officer or whoever was responsible for shooting the guns, they generally didn't issue them to the soldiers so they could go out and shoot them. Here again, ammunition is expensive, and these things are easy to shoot. Also, with the manual of arms for shooting one is, it's not hard to do. They would normally lock these up under some officer's bunk so the troopers wouldn't steal them and desert. So when you're going out on a campaign, you would be issued one of these and probably 24 rounds of ammunition. Now that's great. You're a one-man army there with one of these. You can fire 6 rounds without reloading. The problem with one of these is, although it's a fine mechanism, well-engineered, and in fact still in use, you find people around here who still shoot competitively with the same gun. They have a little better sight. With a lot of practice, you can become a pretty good shot with one of these. Well, let's see how it shoots. gate open. There's an extractor up here, a little spring-loaded thing that runs a rod right back through the cylinder. So you can get the, yeah, there it comes. And this ejector, and this will work. I don't care how dirty your gun is or how the case is stuck in there with verdigris and stuff like that. It will push the case out. But once again, you can see that this is going to be slow to reload because after you fired your 6th round, you're going to have to do that 6 times. So you're down there ejecting, trying to get your cases out, then you have to fish your ammunition out, then you have to reload, close your loading gate, go to full cock. This is single action. This is what it looks like when it's ready to fire. You have to cock it manually, and I don't want to damage the firing pin, so I won't snap the trigger, but you take aim. Here again, let's say we've got a guy sneaking in up there, point it, fire, and then fire this way. And here again, the hammer will normally tabber, and soldiers will just call the thimble belt, and the troopers will a lot of times just make up their own equipment. And that's another thing that you guys with service in World War II in Korea would probably be a little surprised to find out is that they don't issue stuff like this. These guys are just kind of improvising. It would be worn over here, and you'd have to flip this flap up and draw, because traditionally you carry the saber on that side, and you carry maybe your extra rounds right in the cartridge.
First-time visitors, huh? That's great. Okay. I'm also a first-time visitor. As Jack said, I'm brand new superintendent here. I've spent the last 17 years at the national parks throughout the West, starting in Whiskey Town Lake, Northern California, Crater Lake, Redwood National Park, Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and a bunch of other ones. I know I look very old, but I've been a lot of different places. Maybe some of you are from. I spent a lot of time in California, Oregon, in North Dakota. I'm originally from North Dakota. I'm the Mandan Hidatsa from the Fort Brother Reservation, and came out of Southern Oregon State. That's where I went to college, in case you folks are from Oregon. My college is SOC, Southern Oregon State College, which is a very good college. Anyway, this year we're having a lot of new programs happening.
And for many years, it was just that. To many people, particularly the Crow tribe. In recent years, it's been called Custer Country. And therein, I believe, lies a clash of ideas, a conflict of value systems. Because we see this place as a scene of heroic endeavors by Mr. Buckner.
Apologize for that. Fort with 2 giant warriors. Within the fence area is the marker indicating where Custer's remains were buried after the battle. Also within the fence area are markers for Custer's 2 brothers, Captain Tom Custer for another young civilian, Audie Reed, Custer's nephew. Approximately 1/2 mile along the ridge to the right is a marker for Lieutenant James Calhoun of the 7th Cavalry, who was General Custer's brother-in-law. Altogether, there were 5 members of the Custer family who lost their lives here on that Sunday afternoon in 1876. The large granite memorial at the top of the hill was erected in 1881 and is inscribed with the names of all personnel in Custer's party who died at the Battle of Little Bighorn, including scouts and civilians. In approximately 40 minutes, toward the end of the tour, we will be returning along this road. At that time, those of you who wish to get out at the top of Last Stand Hill for a closer look and walk back to the Visitor Center may do so. Those who wish to ride back to the Visitor Center should remain on the bus. The battle, the men of the 7th Cavalry were given hasty burial. But the name of the trooper was known, it was recorded on a piece of paper placed inside an empty cartridge, which was hammered into the top of a wooden stake or post used to mark the gravesite. 1 year after the battle, in 1877, an intensive troopers returned to the battlefield and removed the remains of most of the officers and some of the civilians. Those that could be identified were then delivered to the families for reinterment. At that time, the remains of General Custer were reinterred at the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. 5 years after the battle, in 1881, all the remaining graves on the battlefield were disinterred and the remains placed
been a common grave atop last Stand Hill. The granite memorial marks the site. Today, as you look across the field of battle, you see white markers indicating where bodies of the troopers were initially found and buried. However, no bodies lay buried on the battlefield today. The Battle of the Little Bighorn was one episode in a long conflict between two cultures, Euro-Americans and Native Americans, that failed to understand one another. At the heart of the problem was a difference in attitude regarding land use and ownership. The Great Plains had been inhabited by various nomadic tribes for centuries, but the inexorable tide of Euro-American settlement, which accelerated during the 19th century, put increasing pressure on native peoples in the region. In order to retain their traditional way of life, the Ojibwe of Chippewa, present-day Wisconsin, were obliged to relocate to the west, to present-day Minnesota and northern Iowa. They displaced the Lakota, or Sioux, who subsequently moved into what is now North and South Dakota. Further south, the same sort of displacement happened to the Cheyenne, who moved west into present-day Nebraska and Kansas. Ultimately, the Cheyenne became allied with the Sioux, and together both groups moved still further west into Crow territory, what is now Wyoming and Montana. This encroachment by the Sioux and Cheyenne may explain why the Crow allied themselves with the United States government and agreed to exit south for the Army. The Crow believe that this alliance would force the Sioux out of their traditional Crow tribal land. In just a moment, we will cross a cattle guard that marks the boundary between the Park Service property and the Crow Reservation. With the exception of the Rio Benteen site itself, most of what you see from here south will be on the Crow Reservation. From this point, we have a good view of the Valley of the Little Bighorn. Here, in the summer of 1876, between 7,000 and 8,000 Sioux and Cheyenne, including as many as 2,000 warriors, established a village of about 1,000 lodges. It was perhaps the largest gathering of Plains Indians ever. The encampment was located on the west bank of the Little Bighorn River and extended from the line of trees directly ahead, north for more than a mile and a half. Interstate 90 skirts the western periphery of this nearly 2-square-mile village. The village actually consisted of about 8 separate or individual villages, or circles. 7 of these circles represented the 7 different bands of the Teton Sioux, the Minneconjou, Unpapa, Blackfeet, Ogallala, Brule, Tucatl, and Sanzar. Northern Cheyenne occupied the 8th or northernmost circle. To your right or west, beyond the valley floor and Interstate 90, you will see a high bench ground where the Indians grazed their herds of ponies, estimated to have numbered between 20 and 30,000 head at the time of the battle. To the nomadic mounted Plains Indians, ponies represented wealth and were a primary means of exchange. A Sioux warrior might have several war ponies specially trained for battle, and a different set of horses for hunting buffalo and other game. Indian women also owned about as many ponies as the men. As heads of households, women owned the species and were responsible for packing and moving them, along with all other household items from camp. Horse-drawn travois made the job easier. Picking camp was also women's work. At the time of the battle in late June, the Little Bighorn River was flushed with snowmelt from the Bighorn Mountains about 50 miles to the south. The water level here at what is now called Minneconjou Ford was about 3 feet deep, or up to a horse's belly. We're now entering Minneconjou Ford, and off to the front and to the right of the bus, maybe off to the right, you can see the Little Bighorn River. And it's probably about as full. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now our trail is going to lead you off to this spot. After your driver is parked and open the doors, please meet at the patio area. Locate the crow's nest is to follow the closest tree-lined ridge off to the east. With a little thumb or a little creek on the right side of that dip. Well, just to the right side of that thumb is the crow's nest. Now, it's about 15 miles away from where we are today. and the military would have been out here all summer, probably wouldn't have even have seen an Indian, let alone reservation. So shortly after leaving the Crow's area, Custer sent Captain Ben King with 3 companies of men, about 120 men, marching off in the southwest direction to see if there were any more encampments in that direction, and also check for escaping Indians headed that direction. Custer and the rest of the men would continue down what is now that were with Custer ran across the place where there was an Indian encampment had been set up, but had recently broken up. The Master First Scout reported seeing about 40 or 50 Indians going over the high ground down Reno Creek, headed toward the west. So Custer knew a couple of things. One is, yes, he probably found the Indians, but he also thought that those Indians were breaking up camp like this one did and dispersing. And again, the military would have been out here all summer, probably wouldn't have found one of them. So he ordered Major Reno to take another 3 companies of men, about 140 in this case, continue down Reno Creek, pursue those Indians, and attack Indian encampments being found out here before they could get away. And Custer would follow about a half an hour later. Well, when Custer came down this area, he saw on the hillside, just on the other side of this parking lot, about 60 or 70 warriors, not being threatened, just pretty much sitting around, seeing what was going to happen. Headed to the north, the encouraged those warriors to get back into the main body of Indians. Who's confused by now? Who's where? Well, so far we've got 3 groups of folks here. We've got Captain Ben King going off Second Hill and conducting some trannies off to the southeast. We've got Reno going down Reno Creek to the west. We've got Custer now headed up to the north. Behind all these folks, there's a pack train of about 175 mules, led by some civilian packers, with also another bunch of military with them. And they're dragging along behind everybody else about halfway back to the Crow's Nest. Now, this pack train is carrying food and ammunition for the troopers, also carrying food for the horses. But these are Kentucky thoroughbred horses. They're not going to eat this gas. They're going to starve to death first. So a lot of what the troopers drag along their own food for the horses. So now that we kind of know where everybody is and what they're doing and that sort of thing, if we go out to this lookout point, the 3 fighting posts are farthest to the west, and I'm speaking across the them, they mount up again. When they're mounted again, finally, Reno tells them to charge. They're not toward the Indians, charge the other direction, toward the bluffs where we are. And that herd followed them, charged toward the bluffs. They came across the river, up the high ground, where